Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about sports in the Roman Republic and in the Roman Empire. The main question here in that topic is, did Romans do sports? And yes, they absolutely did do sports. We can see this also at Greeks in the ancient times. Also they did very much sports. However, we have to look at it from two different perspectives. The first perspective is this of a wealthy Roman. Well, for wealthy Romans, at least for many, sports was a status symbol. So, for example, supporting a sports team was a thing. If we look at chariot racing, for example, supporting the right team, betting on them was a huge thing. And also being an athlete himself is also a very good thing and a very status symbol. If we look, for example, again into the Greek world, we see that almost only rich people were at the Olympics. The same with other sports events in the Greek world. There were always rich people, and this was the vast majority. Well, why was that? Because rich people could afford doing sports. While, for example, if we look at poor people, they had to work the whole day or the majority of the day, and they are then tired after tiring work. If we look at rich people, however, they have the money and especially they have the time to do sports. So they have it way easier to actually get into these competitions. And not only that, it was also a great way to compete against other, for example, noblemen, and show in a sportsmanship who is the better of the two. So it was very much more about actually like to show others that you were sporty, you were an athlete, than actually for money. In the Roman world, it was actually quite similar. Rich people were actually more able to do sports than poor people. However, poor people also enjoyed sports. This was also a thing. They had something similar to today's football and something which is quite like today's handball. These two sports were also quite popular in the Roman world, and also the poor people played in it. There were public and private events of sports where all sorts of people could compete against each other, could do sports together or against each other. There was football, something similar to football at least, and something similar as handball, which the poor people enjoyed to play. There was wrestling and there was running, which people also engaged at each other. People could earn money through these sports, especially on sports where there are many bets. For example, wrestling and the chariot racing, where rich people could drive chariots, but also poor people. It was actually a way to get rich for poor people. There was this one chariot racer who actually got very rich through it because he won so many races. And rich people always look down on him because he's a new rich and he threw parties, etc., which were not quite of the liking of the old rich people. Similar like today, watching sports was actually something all people could do. Well, at least most people were able to watch sports. Slaves not as likely if their master said no, you are not allowed to go to the games. But if we look at a free man, he could absolutely watch a gladiator fight and chariot racing in the Circus Maximus. It's all possible. It was possible in ancient times, like it is possible today. So there's actually not much a difference. The betting culture was also a big thing in the Roman world. Many people actually placed their bets, as mentioned already. For example, in horse racing, chariot races, there people like to place bets on teams. And this bankrupted a couple of people and also made some people rich. So there's already, sports was quite similar like today. There was bets, people were watching, people were playing. There's not much a difference because it was always something that all people like to do. If we'll, for example, look in the Greek world, look in the Roman world. If you want to count that, you can also say poor people were able to join the military, the legions, to actually get to sports because they had to be obviously quite sporty to actually be a soldier later. So there was that. So if you wanted to do sports and were not like, yeah, I want to work on the field or something like that, you were able to join the military and do their sports. And this we see stretched above the whole ancient world. People love to do sports, compete against each other. However, we have to see that the athletes, especially the rich athletes, were more to show their political power, superiority, or status. It was not always just about, yeah, I'm the better athlete. However, it still was sports back then and it is sport today. And there's not that much of a difference. All people love sports and all people love sports. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I hope you liked that video and I wish you a good day. Bye from